So Sam Seder was just fired as a contributor to MSNBC. Now, there is a lot to this story that needs explaining. So I'm going to explain the actual rape joke that got Sam fired, how it doesn't make any sense that it got him fired, and I'm also going to include some celebrity reactions and just taking a look at what MSNBC is doing and has done to progressives over the years. So let's start with trying to explain how this all unfolded. So The Wrap put out the exclusive story saying MSNBC to cut ties with Sam Seder after Roman Polanski rape joke. So some of you might see this and immediately think, oh my god, a rape joke, and think that Sam should be fired because he made a rape joke. But let me try and help you understand. So Sam Seder's joke, which I'll show you in a minute, was tweeted out in September 2009. This was the same time when over 100 people in the film community signed a petition defending Roman Polanski after the rape of a 13-year-old. The petition urged Polanski's release from a brief arrest in Switzerland, largely because he is, quote, one of the greatest contemporary filmmakers. And even a couple writers for the Washington Post came out in Roman Polanski's defense, using such sound reasoning like, Polanski did commit a crime, but he has paid for the crime in many, many ways. In notoriety, in lawyers' fees, in professional stigma. He could not return to LA to receive his recent Oscar. So Polanski is a great filmmaker that couldn't personally accept his Oscar. He's faced enough hardships as a convicted child rapist. Unbelievable. Now, this is what Sam Seder tweeted out at the time in September 2009. Don't care, re Polanski, but I hope if my daughter is ever raped, it is by an older, truly talented man with a great sense of mise-en-scene. So Sam Seder was clearly using satire to hit Hollywood liberals for their defense of a rapist. Now, seeing that tweet out of context, you might not be sure what to make of it. But in context, it's a smart joke. And Sam Escobar, deputy editor of Allure magazine, I thought put it perfectly. How is it possible that Sam Seder was fired over one of the only good rape jokes? By which I mean the kind that actually targets rapists and rape culture, and don't make victims the punchline. I hate 97% of rape jokes because the punchline is always, haha, rape isn't a big deal, or something even worse. This was the rare instance that actually mocked how we glorify abusers. And this is why, whether you enjoy Sam Seder or not, his firing over this tweet is absurd. Now, how did MSNBC get word of this tweet that was tweeted back in 2009? Well, it's because of Mike Cernovich and his group of followers. This joke was returned to public attention last month by Mike Cernovich, who remains at the forefront of today's white dudes ranting into webcams media, largely thanks to his successful spreading of conspiracy theories like Pizzagate and incitement of harassment campaigns against the journalists he and his army of angry internet boys don't like. Now, when you look into Mike Cernovich's history, this story becomes even more crazy. Cernovich rose to Reddit prominence largely on the back of statements like, quote, date rape does not exist, an actual non-sarcastic idea about rape that paralleled Cernovich's own actual rape and battery arrests, and have regularly featured into his fucked up musings about how he loves to, quote, choke a bitch and, quote, blow the bitch out. So Mike Cernovich, the guy that led the smear campaign against Sam Seder using his obvious satirical rape joke, was he himself arrested for rape. Now, I don't even... this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Now, Sam Seder has gotten a ton of support from people of all political persuasions. So here's Eli Lake of Bloomberg View tweeting, outrageous that Sam Seder was fired over a sarcastic tweet. This is getting out of hand. And I say this as someone who doesn't agree with Sam 75% of the time. Sam even got support from right-wing InfoWars editor Paul Joseph Watson, who I can't imagine agrees with Sam on much of anything, but tweeted, okay, so the Sam Seder tweet was originally intended as a jab against those on the left defending child rapist Roman Polanski. Given this, MSNBC's decision to fire him was dumb, and free speech advocates shouldn't have called for Seder's dismissal. And on top of that, there was also a lot of strong celebrity support from people like Patton Oswalt, Mark Ruffalo, and Sarah Silverman. Now, the other story here is just how stupid MSNBC is for firing Sam Seder over this tweet, when they employ a number of actual morons, like Brett Stevens, a recent addition to MSNBC's contributor lineup who, in October, defended serial sexual predator Harvey Weinstein in a New York Times opinion piece, using arguments like hyenas cannot help their own nature. And Stevens spoke with writer Jeff Stein in August, saying that campus rape stories must be exaggerated because women still go to college. But there is one person that does agree with MSNBC's decision to fire Sam Seder, Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke. So I think it's pretty obvious that MSNBC was in the wrong. Now, as a progressive, I think it's important to stand up and defend the very few that are still left on television. Now, I've had my disagreements with Sam Seder, but you have to be able to separate that from a story like this, where he just completely got screwed by piss-poor management at MSNBC. Now, this has actually been a pattern with MSNBC. They've been maligning progressive voices on their network for quite a while. Some examples of that include Phil Donahue, who had the highest-rated show on MSNBC, but got canceled because he opposed the Iraq War. Or how about Jesse Ventura, who, after signing a contract with MSNBC, canceled his show because he also opposed the Iraq War. Then there was Cenk Uygur, a strong progressive voice who now you know as the host of TYT, and he had the highest rated show in his time slot on MSNBC, but they didn't want him criticizing the political establishment, which included Barack Obama, so he left. Then there was Ed Schultz, a vocal progressive who was fired from MSNBC after opposing the TPP. And then there was also Melissa Harris Perry, who walked off MSNBC last year after they tried forcing her to standard election coverage when she was trying to cover important issues dealing with racism in America. Now, while I think these were all terrible moves by MSNBC, this may actually be a blessing in disguise, because the cable news audience is slowly dying anyways. And I mean, literally, the average age of people that watch MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News are in the 60s and 70s. Now, that's not to say there isn't crossover. There are many older people who watch their news online, but the actual progression of where the audience is and where it's going is online. So it's smart for progressives to get their feet in now on the internet, on YouTube, to be able to actually slowly grow their audience so that in 10 years, there's going to be just no contest in terms of who actually has the audience. Cable news versus YouTube. It'll all be on YouTube or online somewhere. So it's unclear right now how long this is going to really take to have that dramatic shift where it'll be YouTube that is really pushing the candidates that actually win elections, but it's happening. Now, I think everything will turn out fine, but in this case, it's clear once again that MSNBC was in the wrong.